There we go. We are all on. Hey, Newmarket church family, or is it site family, or is it parish family? I'll figure it out. It's really great to be able to talk to you for a little bit. I know that I met some of you yesterday morning, and we were able to kind of chat a little bit and tell you a little bit about who I am and my story. But I want to take this time to be able to tell you a bit more about myself. My hope is that over the next couple of weeks, I get to do these sort of videos with you. Every so often, I'll have one of my family members standing on the other side of me. Might have to put one of the kids on a stool so that you can actually see them in full, or conversations with my wife, Rebecca. But to give you an opportunity to kind of hear me a little bit, I am so excited to be joining you and to be leading alongside you in this journey over the next few years. I'm nervous, as you can imagine. It's a huge undertaking, and kudos to Simon for his incredible leadership over the last few years. I look forward to learning from him and learning with him and leading alongside him as we do this work together. I'm a storyteller by nature. You'll learn that about me. I love inflections of voices, and I love kind of the grandiose moments and the quiet one. I love dramatic pauses. See what I did there? And I just love being able to help explain certain things. I don't even like really telling stories about myself. I love telling stories about stories. But I think to be able to get to know me a little bit, I should tell you a story about myself. So here it goes. A few months ago, right during the beginnings of COVID, I lost my job. It was a job that I was pretty good at and I enjoyed doing. And while Rebecca and we sensed that God was bringing a change to our lives, we weren't prepared for the change to happen to us as opposed to us happening to change. And so I was really down in the dumps about it, as you can imagine if you've ever lost a job, but your world kind of turns upside down. You're not really sure what you're going to do, what you're supposed to do next. And I knew I loved Jesus. I knew I loved my family. I knew that I loved serving him. I wasn't sure if I loved ministry anymore. Or maybe better said, I wasn't sure if ministry loved me. And so I really contemplated maybe never doing ministry again. Or that's a little dramatic. Maybe what I mean is never doing it as a vocation. Maybe I would do something else. And through some really strong and good counsel from friends, I kind of moved away from that train of thought, which is a good thing. But I remember saying to God, I'll give you to the end of the summer. I'll give you to the end of August, because if I can't find something, then maybe it means that I'm not supposed to be in this world anymore. Maybe it means that I should hand it over to somebody else. I should take off the apron and say, I've put in my years of service, hang it up on the wall and do something else. Maybe that's what you're saying to me. And so I went along and I tried to find work and different things like that. And it wasn't soon after that my son and my daughter, they authored a book. It's a little book that I keep in my wallet, that I've had in my wallet since they gave it to me in mid-May. And I won't go through all of the pages. I won't read it to you. But I'll read a couple pages. It says this is my kids, 11 and 8. God has a plan for you, whether you like it or not. There will be ups and downs, but God will be there through all of it. And you have us too. God won't tell you the plan, and it might not feel like he's helping, but he is. And I remember reading this book, and I remember being really teary, and because my kids knew something that I didn't know, or maybe that I forgot, that God was standing with us the entire time. And so I held on to this story. I held on to this book. It's been in my wallet every day since, and every so often I would take it out and I would remind it on those days where I got discouraged, going, God, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what's coming next. I would hold on to this story. I would hold on to this book, and I would just wait, and I would pray, and I would hold on to the notion and the idea that God had a plan, that God had a story that he wanted to tell through my life. And then I get an Instagram instant message from a mutual friend of yours and mine. And here we are doing life together. Today, as you're watching this, is August 31st. On the day that I told God, on the day that I said to God, listen, I will go until August 31st. And if nothing pops off, as the cool kids would say, then I'm okay with not doing this anymore. And on this day, August 31st, 2020, you, Newmarket site, Newmarket Parish, Newmarket Church, you are the answer to my daughter's prayers. You are the answer to my son's prayers. You are essentially this story. The story is not about me. This story is about how God serendipitously led our paths together so that we can do life together. So that my story can be impacted by your story and vice versa. My daughter had no clue when her and her brother decided to put this book together with really bad tape and, kid spelling. They would have had no clue back then that this would be happening. On the day that I said, I am not doing this anymore. Today, on the day I said, God, here's my timeline. Here is my last day of work. We get to re-sign the contract to serve, if you will, and we get to do it with you. So on my first sort of independent moment to speak to you, I want to say thank you without even spending time with you yet, without even really going through the hustle and bustle of life, without even having that moment where we're going to disagree, without having that moment where things don't seem as great as they do at the beginning, because everything has a honeymoon phase and then you move in together and then it's not always the greatest. You know what I'm talking about? Not with my own marriage. Everything in my marriage is always up and up. Before any of that stuff, thank you. Thank you for welcoming Rebecca and Eliana and Liam and myself. And we look forward to doing life with you. My hope is that to do a video like this once a week to give you sort of insights on us. I'm gonna, in our MailChimp whole thing, add my email address so you can email us questions that I'll respond to, or my family will respond to, so that you can get to know us a little bit. And there'll be questions that I'll have for you in the MailChimp. But I get you've watched so many videos. I get that Zoom is exhausting and everything. I get it. And so my other hope is to be able to figure out, and this is just plans and ideas, figure out ways that we can actually get together. Whether it's me sitting in a driveway with a cup of Tim Hortons or Starbucks or whatever the local coffee is, because we all have our preferences, however it is, and just to be able to sit down for a couple minutes and just laugh and share together. Can I invite you to do a couple of things for me before I sign off on this video? Can you do a couple of things for me? Can you pray? This is a really big step for us as a family that we're excited for, but we always want to make sure that we are in the center of God's will, that He's listening and that we are listening more so than He's listening to us. So can you pray for us? Can you pray for wisdom as we navigate these waters? Can you pray for us and our kids? Our kids are going back to school in a couple of weeks, and maybe you're a parent with young kids too, and you're kind of contemplating whether it's going to school or being online, and there's so many different stresses that are happening. Can you pray for us, and we'll pray for you, that for the wisdom of the Spirit to be upon you, that you be able to make the right decision for your family that allows you to have a little bit less stress and also allows you to be a representative of the kingdom of Jesus. And then lastly, I mentioned to our elders and our leaders that we're not necessarily able to move right now because of COVID, and different things are happening in this house right now. I know that you love the wallpaper that's up here on the wall. We're not going to be able to move yet. But we do want to start praying for the house that we eventually move into, and praying for the house that we need to fix up and sell here. So if you can be praying for that over these next few days and weeks, and we'll make sure to give you guys updates in terms of what that looks like in the future. I think I'm out of stories. Well, I should say I'm out of stories for today, but I look forward to sharing more stories and hearing more stories over the next days, weeks, months, and years to come. Oh, and one more thing about me before I sign off. I am a huge hoodie guy. I love hoodies. Love them. It is right now like piping hot in my basement, and even so, Lord, here I am wearing a hoodie. So every so often I'll try to give you a little bit of tidbits about who I am and things I like. This one today, I love stories. I love my family. I love hoodies. And guess what? Even without knowing you, I love you too. Take care, guys.